Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Gravitas with me, Raisha Sehgal. On the show tonight, we will tell you about a new war brewing in West Asia. This time, it is between the United States of America and Yemen's Houthis, with the US launching its largest military operation in West Asia since Trump took office. But tonight, we will tell you what's behind this latest escalation and who started it. Also on the show, US President Donald Trump will be speaking with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin on Tuesday regarding a Ukraine ceasefire deal. As officials express hope for a ceasefire, the battlefield tells a different story. We will also tell you about Pakistan's never-ending reliance on its all-weather ally, China. We will get you the details on how dependent Islamabad is on Beijing for its survival. All that and a lot more lined up for you on Gravitas. Let's get you started. Our top story on Gravitas tonight is from West Asia, where the US has gone to war against Houthis. A fresh crisis in one of the world's most critical shipping lanes is underway, and this as Yemen's Houthis clash with the United States of America. Large-scale US strikes since Saturday have resulted in 53 deaths and 98 injuries. These airstrikes mark the largest US military operation in West Asia since US President Donald Trump took office in January. In response, the Houthis have launched 18 ballistic missiles and cruise missiles along with drones targeting the USS Harry S. Truman aircraft carrier and its accompanying ships in the northern Red Sea. But the question is, what's behind this latest escalation between the US and Yemen's Houthis? What led to this tit for tat? Who started it? And what's the purpose? Let's get into it. But first, here are some fast facts. The situation escalated over the weekend. That's when a series of deadly American airstrikes in Yemen, followed by additional strikes in the early hours of Monday morning. According to Houthi-run local media, the US has launched at least 47 airstrikes in the last 24 hours, targeting the capital Sana'a, along with 7 other provinces across the country. And reports from Reuters suggest that the American campaign could continue for several weeks, if not days. The Iran-backed group, based in Yemen, the Houthis, they have vowed to escalate its actions, stating that it will not hesitate to strike US warships in the Red Sea and the Arabian Sea. They have also committed to continuing their naval blockade of Israel until humanitarian aid and essential supplies reach Gaza. Remember, the Houthis are an armed movement that has controlled most of Yemen for the past decade. They have previously targeted global shipping in the Red Sea, and all this to show support with the Palestinians against Israel's war on Gaza. Now, these attacks by the Houthis against Israel and the USS carriers, it stopped when a fragile Israel-Hamas ceasefire took effect in January this year. However, after Israel suspended the flow of humanitarian aid to Gaza this month, the Houthis declared their intention to renew attacks against Israeli vessels. Despite the aggressive rhetoric, there have been no reported Houthi attacks since then. Well, early on Monday, the group's military spokesperson declared in a televised statement that the Houthis would respond to US airstrikes with further escalation.
The Yemeni armed forces targeted for the second time during 24 hours the US aircraft carrier USS Harry S. Truman in the northern Red Sea with a number of ballistic and cruise missiles and drones in an engagement that lasted for several hours. The Yemeni armed forces succeeded in thwarting a hostile attack the enemy was preparing to launch against our country. Its warplanes were forced to return from their launching point after the Yemeni armed forces launching a number of missiles and drones at the aircraft carrier and several of its warships.
According to the Houthi statement, America's airstrikes have caused major casualties. Not just that, damage to civilian infrastructure as well as public property. The group has condemned the US actions as a blatant crime against humanity and a direct violation of Yemen's sovereignty. But the US remains stern despite all the warnings from the Houthi. A day ago, the US Central Command said its forces were continuing operations against Yemen's Houthis. This after Washington said it will keep striking the group until it ends attacks on international shipping. In a video released by the US Central Command, fighter jets were shown taking off from an unidentified location. Which brings us back to the question, what's behind this new US-Houthi violence, this new rivalry between both of them? What started this? It all started really on March 2nd. That's when Israel blocked all aid from entering Gaza, further starving Palestinians living in Gaza who are in need of food and medicine. 5 days later, Houthi chief Abdel Malik al-Houthi set a 4-day deadline. The demand by the Houthis? If Israel did not reopen the crossings and allow aid in, Houthis would resume attacking Israel-linked ships passing through Bab al-Mandab Strait. And on March 11th, spokesperson Yahya Sari announced the resumption of the Houthis' Red Sea operations against Israeli ships. Now, the US President Donald Trump has said that the Houthis had targeted our troops and allies. Trump and his Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth have also claimed that Iran is behind the Houthis' actions and that it was now on notice. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced he had coordinated the attacks on Yemen with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov. But why is Iran catching the heat? You see, US officials claim that Iran is heavily backing the Houthi activities in the Red Sea. Some claim the group is an Iranian proxy. Though experts and think tanks such as Brookings and the Council on Foreign Relations instead consider the Houthis as a willing partner. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has clearly said that the US government has no authority or business dictating Iranian foreign policy. On Sunday, Araghchi posted on X, formerly Twitter, saying, "End support for Israeli genocide and terrorism. Stop killing of Yemeni people." Now, despite the war of words, the latest escalation once again threatens flaring up violence in an already volatile region. Remember, the Red Sea receives almost 15% of global sea trade. The Houthi attacks have forced much of that trade to take a much longer and a more expensive route that's around the southern coast of Africa. And this has raised insurance costs and affected inflation rates globally. So, will the Houthis be deterred by the latest US attacks? Probably not. The Houthis' Supreme Political Council said they would not be scared, they would not be deterred. In fact, they have vowed to escalate the situation to a more severe and dire level. When Houthis and the US traded fire last, it only helped the group's ability to recruit more fighters. While these attacks may be bigger than what the Houthis previously experienced, there is little sign that they're willing to give in. But the Houthi-US clash that we just told you about, that is not the only thing threatening tensions in West Asia. Syria has bombed Lebanon, and that's after Hezbollah executed 3 Syrian soldiers. On Monday, the Syrian army sent a convoy of troops and several tanks to the frontier after Syrian troops exchanged fire with Lebanese soldiers and armed groups in northeast Lebanon overnight. And this is a new round of clashes that have taken place along the two countries' border. Syrian troops fired into the air as they moved through towns on the way to the border. You see, tensions have been high, and that's since Islamist rebels toppled former Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, who was an ally of Iran and Iran-backed Lebanese armed group Hezbollah. Late on Sunday, Syria's defense ministry accused Hezbollah of crossing into Syrian territory and kidnapping and killing 3 members of Syria's new army. Hezbollah has meanwhile denied any involvement into this incident. According to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, which is a Britain-based war monitor, Shia groups were involved. But the circumstances of the incident remain unclear. Lebanese security sources cited by news agency Reuters say that the 3 Syrian soldiers had crossed into Lebanese territory first. According to them, the Syrian soldiers were killed by armed members of a tribe, and that's in northeastern Lebanon, who feared their town was under attack. In retaliation for their deaths, Syrian troops shelled Lebanese border towns overnight. Residents of the town of Al-Qasr, which is located less than 1 kilometer from the border. In a statement on Monday, Lebanon's army said that it had handed over the bodies of the 3 killed Syrian soldiers to the Syrian officials, and that it had responded to fire from Syrian territory. And they had also sent reinforcements to the border area.
One of the points affiliated to the Syrian government's defense ministry was targeted. This point was breached by a group affiliated to the Lebanese group Hezbollah. 3 soldiers of the Syrian Defense Ministry were killed. Afterwards, the Defense Ministry brought in reinforcements in order to control the situation and target the group that is responsible for the act. Thank God the group was targeted, and the point from which they launched their attack was identified. Some members of the group were wounded, and some of those that were responsible for the act were killed. Now, the Syrian Defense Ministry has a plan in order to control the Syrian-Lebanese borders. Large military reinforcements were brought in to reinforce positions along the Syrian-Lebanese border and prevent any breaches in the coming days.
Though the clashes between Hezbollah and the Syrian forces, they were largely calmed before sunrise. Lebanese media reported low-level fighting at dawn after an attack on a Syrian military vehicle. The number of casualties remains unclear as of now. Pakistan is on the edge. The intensifying insurgency, which has been palpable for a couple of years, is becoming ominous. From Khyber Pakhtunkhwa in north to Balochistan in south, the unrelenting militant attacks have exposed the struggles of the Pakistan government in dealing with security threats. Pakistan's battle against Baloch insurgency has risen. The Balochistan Liberation Army, BLA, they have been carrying out one of the deadliest attacks in the recent history. On March 11th, BLA militants hijacked a train with over 400 passengers, demanding the release of Baloch political prisoners. The Pakistani government responded with force, ending the siege, but at the cost of 27 civilian lives, all the passengers on board the Jafar Express. 5 days later, the militants targeted a Pakistani army convoy in a deadly attack in Naushiki district. At least 11 people, including 9 security personnel, were killed in the suicide bomb attack. And the situation is no better in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. It has been witnessing a troubling surge in violence marked by attacks, counter-insurgency operations and escalating tensions. Its proximity to Afghanistan and socio-political complexities have bred the unrest that we all are witnessing today. The TTP has stepped up its efforts to challenge the state. They have benefited from the instability stemming from the Taliban's return to power in Afghanistan. Report claims terror-related deaths in Pakistan have seen a big jump in recent times. Such fatalities have surged by 73% in February compared to the previous month. The report says both Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa have been bearing the brunt of the rising insurgencies. Now, the Islamabad-based Pakistan Institute for Peace Studies recorded 121 fatalities and 103 injuries from 54 militant attacks across the country in February alone. Balochistan alone accounted for 62% of all deaths. It recorded 23 militant attacks, leaving 75 killed and 45 injured. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa also saw a high level of violence with 30 attacks, claiming 45 lives and injuring 58 others. The growing insurgency has given more ammunition to the opposition to train guns at the Shehbaz government. JUIF Chief Maulana Fazlur Rahman has announced plans to launch a nationwide demonstration along with the PTI against the Shehbaz Sharif-led government. The opposition has highlighted corruption and worsening law and order in Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Rahman has accused the government of neglecting security concerns in these provinces, claiming that the ruling coalition is least bothered about the crisis in both these provinces, that's Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. And well, Pakistan Bureau Chief Anas Malik is now joining us on the show. Hi Anas, you are currently in Quetta, the capital of Pakistan's Balochistan province. We have seen an increase in militant attacks against security personnel in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa as well. What's the latest that you can tell us, and how is it like on the ground in Quetta at the moment?
Well, Resha, in the past 48 hours, Pakistan has seen one of the deadliest spells of terror attacks in the country against security forces. We've seen 57 attacks in 48 hours across 23 districts, in which 16 people have lost their lives. 48 of them are injured, and what we also know is that the deadliest of the attack took place here in the province of Balochistan, where I am right now, in Naushiki. That was yesterday against the security forces convoy. Now, with regards to what the government is doing, the government says it is conducting the intelligence-based operations, and they're having some success prima facie. The reason we're seeing that time to time the Pakistani military's PR wing ends up putting out statements with regards to the number of militants or terrorists killed in these intelligence-based operations. I'm here in the capital city of Quetta, the provincial capital of Balochistan, and since we've been here, what we've been observing is there's this uneasy calm in the city. We understand that it is Ramadan season, it is the holy month of Ramadan, it is the Eid season that is just dawning upon. So with that, there is heightened security measures, some visible, some not so visible, but that fear of the unknown, that palpable fear is there, which can be seen and felt when you speak to the people on the ground. Rohisha?
Right, Anas, thanks very much for joining us on the show and getting us latest on this. In other news, US President Donald Trump is preparing to speak with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin on Tuesday, raising eyebrows with his plan to discuss dividing certain assets between Ukraine and Russia. Well, as US officials express hope for a ceasefire in the war, the battlefield tells a different story, one of retreat, firepower, and unrelenting warfare. Take a look.
Ukrainian forces continue to pull back under Russia's superior firepower. The key town of Sudzha in Russia's western Kursk region has fallen after 7 months of Ukrainian control. Evacuees speak of fear, confusion, and an uncertain future as Moscow tightens its grip.
Я не понимаю, ради чего эта война. Мы очень ждем мира, потому что жалко и русских солдат, и украинских солдат, и вообще всех людей, потому что мы хотим в это верить, мы очень хотим, чтобы Америка как-то повлияла на дружбу России с Украиной, потому что это братские народы,
These images released by Russia's defense ministry show a chaotic withdrawal. Abandoned tanks, artillery, and US-supplied M1 Abrams vehicles left behind. Once a symbol of NATO's military might, now these war machines lie in ruins. As the battle rages across Ukraine, Kyiv hits back, launching a drone attack on southern Russia, igniting a massive blaze at an oil refinery. Moscow responds with brute force, unleashing nearly 200 drones in a relentless assault on Ukrainian cities. US President Donald Trump is confident about his direct talks with his Russian counterpart. This could mark a turning point.
I think we'll, be talking about land. It's a lot of land. It's a lot different than it was before the war, as you know. And we'll be talking about land. We'll be talking about power plants. Because that's up, it's a big question. But I think we have a lot of it already discussed very much by both sides.
You'll ask him.
Ukraine and Russia.
You'll ask him.
We're already talking about that. Dividing up certain assets. Yeah, and they've been working on that.
The talks comes after Trump's envoy met Vladimir Putin in Moscow, but Trump's proposal to divide certain assets raises eyebrows in Ukraine and Europe. His approach suggests a negotiation that could reshape Ukraine's borders, something Kyiv has firmly opposed. Putin, while open to a ceasefire, warns of serious questions about its implementation. As war rages on, all eyes would be on the Trump-Putin talks. Can it bring a halt to the 3-year-long brutal war? Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Our next story is about Pakistan, or more specifically, its reliance on the Chinese army. You see, it's a well-known fact that Pakistan depends heavily on its so-called all-weather ally, China. But did you know just how reliant Pakistan truly is on China for its survival? According to new reports, 81% of Pakistan's arms imports over the past 5 years have come from China. According to think tank SIPRI, Islamabad has been buying increasingly advanced systems from this long-standing partner. That's a 7% increase from the previous 5 years. At this point, it's fair to say that the Pakistan army is an extension of the Chinese army. The report comes at a time when China is pushing to improve its self-reliance in its own defense industry. From aircraft carriers to sixth-generation fighter jets, we know that China has been modernizing and strengthening its military. Well, now it seems like China has also been expanding the range of weapons it can offer to its strategic partners. In this case, Pakistan, a country that has been facing multi-front security threat from a homegrown monster. We're talking about terrorism. And that's not even half the problem. But let's get back to the SIPRI report. Well, according to the think tank, Pakistan's total arms imports rose by 61% in the past 5 years. More majorly, Islamabad seems to have bought more advanced and diverse systems from China, such as long-range reconnaissance drones and Type 054A guided missile frigates. According to SIPRI researchers, the apparent willingness of China to supply some of its more advanced weapons to Pakistan, it shows China's trust in Pakistan. And that's not new. After all, China has been Pakistan's primary arms supplier since the 1990s. Beijing avoids formal alliances, but according to the researchers, this shows that China is Pakistan's only real ally. The one and only to depend on when dealing with India especially. But what does China get out of this, out of supplying arms to Pakistan? It's what Pakistan could give China at this point of time. It is the only country that, at this moment, could give China an access to a base on the Indian Ocean and near West Asia. And that's what China hopes to get out of this deal with Pakistan. In April last year, China launched the first of 8 Hangar 2 submarines to be supplied to Pakistan. The deal was worth around $5 billion, one of the most valuable military contracts China has signed. And according to the SIPRI database, some of Pakistan's key orders in the past 5 years include the country's first spy ship, the Rizwan. That and more than 600 BT-4 battle tanks, as well as 36 J-10CE 4.5 generation fighters. In 2022, Pakistan continued to enhance its fleet with the JF-17 fighters, which are a key part of its air force now. The JF-17 is a 4th generation jet manufactured in partnership with China, dating back to 1999. The latest version, Block 3, is equipped with advanced radar and joined the Pakistan Air Force in 2023. Military experts say that China might sell its 5th generation fighter jet, the J-35, to Pakistan if requested. And what's prompted this? Why does Pakistan want the 5th generation J-35 from China? You see, India too is looking at acquiring advanced fighter jets like the American F-35 or the Russian Su-57. And this has reportedly prompted Pakistan to explore its own options. Between 2020 and 2024, China supplied Pakistan with a variety of surface-to-air missiles and also defense systems, including long-range HQ-9 missiles, medium-range LY-80s, and also portable FN-6 missiles. Pakistan has also received naval vessels and drones from China during this period. Historically, the United States earlier was a major arms supplier to Pakistan, but Washington reduced its support due to concerns over Pakistan's actions against the Taliban and its nuclear program. All right, let's now tell you what else is lined up for you on Gravitas tonight. We will tell you how the Democrats are now losing both the plot and the people. And what exactly do Americans think of the Democratic Party in the United States of America? We'll also get your report of China's dancing robots, who are all set to rival with the very best of dancers and gymnasts with their acrobatic skills. After eggs, beef faces an uncertain future in the US. Prices have been rising steadily in recent years with no signs of slowing down. Since January 2020, the average price of a pound of beef mince has surged by 45%, from $3.90 to $5.60, nearly doubling the rate of inflation. This price increase is driven by a combination of high consumer demand and a shrinking cattle herd, which is now smaller than it was a decade ago. Despite the challenges of tight domestic supply, beef imports have helped stabilize the prices. In 2023, the US saw record high imports, including 4.6 billion pounds of beef and 2 million live cattle. However, the situation may soon worsen. And that's because US President Donald Trump has proposed hefty new tariffs on agricultural imports, including beef. The tariffs, set to take effect in April 2025, could disrupt the delicate balance of the US beef market. While domestic ranchers might benefit from higher prices, the proposed tariffs could lead to instability in the supply chain. Many cattle are raised in Mexico, fattened in the US, and processed in Canada before being re-imported. A procedure that could be interrupted by these tariffs, these high tariffs, which is now being imposed under Donald Trump. While the potential for higher prices might seem like an opportunity for US ranchers, experts warn it could harm the industry. With a smaller cattle herd, sudden price hikes could discourage ranchers from rebuilding their stocks. Meanwhile, consumer habits may shift as well, as higher beef prices will lead to people perhaps looking at other options than beef. Even if the tariffs are delayed or altered, the ongoing challenges in the beef supply chain are clear and prices are likely to remain. On to stories from the United States of America, where the Democratic Party has reached an all-time low in popularity. As per the NBC News poll, and if you're wondering why is that, we'll tell you. The poll that surveyed 1,000 registered voters found that just 27% of people viewed the party positively. A second survey conducted by the CNN also gave similar results. This is clearly not good news for the Democratic Party, which seems to be back on a back gear right now. And that's since its defeat in the 2024 US presidential elections. First, let's take a look at what the NBC poll has said. It revealed that 65% of Democrats wanted Democratic lawmakers to stick to their guns, while just 32% believed that bending to Trump to gain his support on legislation was important. Meanwhile, a second poll released by CNN and conducted by SSRS also showed poor results for the Democratic Party, with only 29% positively favoring the Democrats, a record low in CNN's polling since 1992. What explains this? The poll seems to have revealed fault lines existing within the party. Since January 2021, that's when Trump ended his first tenure, and shortly after the January 6th Capitol attacks, the party has dropped 20 sharp points. And the recovery since then has not been all that great. By contrast, as for the CNN survey, 79% of Republicans retained a positive view of the GOP, or the Grand Old Party. You see, Trump himself has not been immune to the polling blow. with a 51% majority disapproving of his performance and expressing pessimism on issues like the economy. It's quite a shift, as economic factors are chiefly among others that helped Trump grab a second term as the US president. Even though Trump's performance is not nearly as bad as that of Biden's on broadly similar issues, a step up is much needed. When asked on Department of Government Efficiency or DOGE's handling of federal government employees amid massive job cuts in the US, almost 60% of registered voters disapproved of DOGE's move, with Musk being a popular flashpoint. With midterm elections due in 2026, experts state the Democratic Party not just needs rebranding, but also an immediate reboot, and cues for the Trump team to do more for the long run. Behind the polished corporate facades of Japan's business world, it is a disturbing reality for young female job seekers. As women navigate the already stressful procedure of securing employment, they increasingly face a barrage of inappropriate questions. They face unwanted advances and outright predatory behavior from the very gatekeepers to their professional futures. Young Japanese women, they have had to endure questions in interviews which are inappropriate. Surprisingly often, applicants are asked whether they have a boyfriend or if they're planning to get married. And while those questions can make a job applicant uncomfortable, young women have detailed even more unpleasant experiences on social media. Some say that the interviewers have asked them how often their boyfriend stays at their flat, while others report being asked the color of the underwear. Yes, these are the questions that young Japanese women professionals are being asked. Not infrequently, applicants have been invited to go out for dinner or drinks with an interviewer. Many say that they fear refusing such an invitation would jeopardize their chances of getting the position. The list goes on. There are other more disturbing instances. In January, an employee of an IT and electronic corporation, NEC, was arrested after a female university student was raped. The man was ultimately not prosecuted, although his employer did fire him and introduced new protocols for meetings between staff and job applicants. A report conducted last year by the Ministry of Health, Labour and Welfare revealed that 1 in 3 female students had been the subject of sexual harassment when they were applying for jobs. Many women reluctantly accept these humiliations as a part of Japan's rigid, male-dominated corporate world. They endure sexist questioning because refusing could mean losing a rare job opportunity in Japan. However, resistance is growing. Social media has now become a platform for survivors to expose harassment, pushing companies to confront their toxic hiring cultures in Japan. All right, shifting our focus to India, where the decks have been cleared for the next moon shot. Yes, you heard that right. The Indian government has approved plans for Chandrayaan-5 moon mission. The chairman of the Indian Space Research Organization, V. Narayan, has confirmed this news to WION. Take a listen.
We are going to build the total lander, or rover, everything. And I will tell you one example. The rover what came out of Chandrayaan-3 was 25 kg mass. Here 350 kg mass is the type of rover. And the life is also going to be more. So there are interchange of technologies. Rather, it is going to be built jointly by India and Japan together. It is a huge program, and lander mass is almost 4 times of Chandrayaan-3 lander.
The Chandrayaan-5 mission would include a 250-kilogram rover that will study the moon's surface This advanced rover aims to conduct detailed studies of the moon's surface and composition. India's Chandrayaan program has been instrumental in advancing lunar exploration since its inception. India's first moon mission, Chandrayaan-1 in 2008, was historic in its discovery of water molecules on the lunar surface. Chandrayaan-2 of 2019 faced setbacks in its landing attempt, but it continues to provide important scientific data through its orbiter. Then came Chandrayaan-3 in 2023, which successfully demonstrated India's ability to achieve a soft landing on the moon's south pole, which is a feat achieved only by India so far. Building upon all these successes, ISRO is now preparing for Chandrayaan-4, which has been scheduled for 2027. Chandrayaan-4 aims to collect and return lunar samples to Earth. Meanwhile, Chandrayaan-5 mission is expected to lay the foundation for future human moon landings. Well, what makes Chandrayaan-5 so very special? The collaboration with Japan. Yes, that's what's happening. Chandrayaan-5 represents a collaborative effort between the Indian Space Research Agency and the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, JAXA. It will enhance scientific capabilities and bring cutting-edge technology to the mission. A heavier, more advanced rover will be used. The 250 kg lunar rover will allow for longer exploration, deeper scientific expertise, and better mobility on the moon's rugged terrain. The mission aligns with India's long-term space exploration goals, including manned moon landing by 2040. Well, have you ever heard of dancing robots or watched them shake a leg or two? Well, if you haven't, you are about to. A Shenzhen-based robotics company unveiled a new item featuring a robot that replicated iconic dance moves from a famous movie. Recently, Chinese robotics startup Enggenai has showcased its latest breakthrough. It's a front flip. Our next report telling you more about China's dancing robots. Take a look.
Robots grooving to catchy music, taking a run as well as pulling off perfect front flips. These are scenes from China's Shenzhen, where humanoid robots developed by a robotics company in South China's Guangdong province very well seem poised to rival the very best of dancers and gymnasts with their acrobatic skills. And all this they managed to pull off with utmost expertise and precision. Earlier, another robot developed by the same company stunned the internet with its perfect front flips, and netizens showering praise on its remarkable flexibility and agility. This is a big leap forward for the robotics industry after American giant Boston Dynamics first achieved a robotic backflip in 2017. Signs pointing to the fact that the humanoid revolution is here and how. Equipped with cameras, sensors, and AI technology, these humanoid robots resemble and act like humans, but in reality are just robots. Often engineered to imitate human expressions, interactions, as well as movements. Last year, to everyone's awe, a Chinese startup succeeded in making its humanoid robot do a back somersault by jumping from on top of a box to the ground. And as these humanoid robots continue to push boundaries day by day, one can't help but wonder, what next? Bureau Report. World is One.
Season 3 of the hit series White Lotus has stirred a major controversy with the bizarre incest scene, further making us question Hollywood's obsession with incest relationships? And how far is it from artistic expression? And when does it go way too far? Let's tell you what happened. In episode 5 of the hit HBO drama's third season, White Lotus, the episode aired on March 16th and it saw things take an incestuous turn between the two Radcliffe brothers, played by Sam Nivola and Patrick Schwarzenegger. Viewers have described an uncanny, unusual dynamic being formed between the two brothers, with sexual tension rising amongst the sibling right from episode 1. But the theory appeared to be confirmed when the Radcliffe brothers shared a passionate kiss during the latest episode. However, the scene has not been well received by the viewers, with many insisting that the new kissing scenes had taken things a step too far. However, this is not the first time that Hollywood has glamorized or romanticized controversial topics like incest. How can we forget the famous series Game of Thrones, where incest is a recurring theme and is widely practiced throughout the series. Just giving you a recap, in the series, the Targaryen family's practice of sibling marriage or incest is a key element, with examples of twins Cersei and Jaime being physically involved with each other. This topic has not only created controversy abroad, but in India as well. Just a few weeks ago, Ranveer Alabadia, also famously known as Beer Biceps, landed himself in big trouble after cracking cross-incest joke on Samir Raina's popular YouTube show India's Got Latent. And on Gravitas tonight, we ask a pertinent question, whether it is okay to show incest on TV. We know that television is a powerful medium, one that shapes culture, influences opinions, and reflects societal values. But should there be boundaries when it comes to depicting incestuous ties? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Artificial intelligence has transformed the healthcare industry in many ways. And with AI evolving at a rapid pace, major medical breakthroughs are taking place every day. One of these breakthroughs is AI nurses. So next time you are due for a medical exam, chances are you might get a call from an AI nurse and perhaps fail to recognize that the voice on the other end is not human. This is Anna, an AI-generated nurse. With her calm, warm demeanor, Anna has been trained to answer any pressing questions a patient might have regarding their scheduled medical appointment. Unlike human nurses who work for certain hours of the day, AI nurses are working 24/7. And they are programmed to speak multiple languages such as Hindi, French, Spanish, and Arabic, among other languages. Anna and other AI nurses are prominent examples of AI's growing presence in healthcare. Meanwhile, not everyone is in support of this change. While hospitals see AI as a solution to overworked and understaffed nursing unions argue that AI technology is overriding nurses' expertise and lowering the standard of patient care. Moreover, some worry that AI in hospitals could trigger a flood of false alarms, sometimes also not giving accurate answers to bodily functions. So while AI nurses like Anna offer a glimpse into the future of readily available patient support, the debate continues, raising important questions about the balance between automation and the human touch in patient care. And shifting our focus to Indonesia, where crocodile attacks are on the rise and have left residents on the edge. Survivors of these attacks still recount the event with utmost horror. Now, saltwater crocodiles have been a legally protected species in Indonesia since 1999, thus leaving people with no choice but to coexist with these animals. Our next report telling you more.
I was attacked by a crocodile there, in the water, almost, drowned and dragged. I am so scared. I don't want to go to the beach. Even to the back of the house, I don't dare to go. I am traumatized. I asked my children not to go to the river, or to the backyard, or go fishing. It is enough that I've been bitten by a crocodile. I won't let it happen to my children.
This lady is one of many in Indonesia to have survived a crocodile attack, one that almost took her life. 7 months after this incident, she is building on her strength to face a harsh reality, which makes her one of nearly 180 recorded crocodile attack victims in Indonesia only last year. Most attacks take place in the central Mamuju district, where the river meets the sea. In Indonesia, crocodiles are a legally protected species, making it an animal which can't be hunted freely. Residents are thereby forced to balance conservation with their safety, or often at the cost of it. However, the steady rise in attacks have now prompted residents to demand better government interventions to prevent matters from spiraling out of control.
This is a matter of human lives. So when the government is not serious, then our brothers and sisters in the future, in 5 or 15 years from now, there will be even more who will die from being attacked by crocodiles.
In 2024, there were a total of 179 crocodile attacks in Indonesia, the highest number of crocodile attacks in the world with 92 fatalities. And off late, crocodile appearances and attacks in Sulawesi and other regions in Indonesia are also on the rise. As per experts, the rise of palm oil plantations around the river mouth also plays a role in it by displacing crocodiles from its natural habitat. This leads them to creep to nearby residential areas in search of their prey and target the residents living there. The situation is grave, and unless the government comes up with both safe and economic alternatives for residents, the locals would have to live in perennial fear of being the beast's next target.
Indian mangoes, known for their exceptional taste and aroma, have become a highly coveted delicacy around the world. But why are they so expensive compared to other varieties? Our next report breaks down the data behind the price of Indian mangoes. Take a look.
The king of fruits is wearing a crown of gold. Quite literally, mango prices have soared in recent times, leaving mango lovers scrambling for respite. Prices of mangoes in India, the world's largest producer, are priced significantly higher than other varieties from countries like Mexico and Brazil. In fact, wholesale prices for Indian mangoes are 5 to 6 times higher. While some attribute this to regulatory costs such as irradiation and inspections, research shows that shipping and wholesale markups contribute the most to the high cost. The total price of Indian mangoes averages $4.20 per pound, with farm costs in India only accounting for 29% per pound. Air freight and wholesale markups make up the bulk of the price increase. Let's break down the costs. Of the $4.20 per pound, 29 cents come from the farm in India, while irradiation adds another 14 cents. Inspection fees contributes 35 cents. However, air freight costs a significant $1.24 per pound, and wholesalers add another $1.88 per pound for their costs and margins. Regulatory and treatment costs, while important, are less impactful on the final price than the logistics and markups involved in bringing the mangoes to market. Shipping costs and the small volume of trade also play a role in maintaining high prices. Climate change poses an emerging threat to mango production globally. Rising temperatures, erratic rainfall, and extreme weather events disrupt traditional mango cultivation patterns. These fluctuations impact flowering, fruit set, and overall fruit quality. Studies show that mango trees exhibit resilience to some of these changes, but adaptation strategies are crucial to ensure sustainable production. Research is focusing on how different mango cultivars respond to these climate challenges, highlighting the need for long-term solutions to safeguard the industry. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
And that's all that we have in today's edition of Gravitas. But before we slip into a very short break, we're leaving you with Gravitas Worldview. Thanks very much for staying with us. You are watching WION World is One. Do stay tuned.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Dive into the world of tokenization with me on Token Money Magnet, only on WION.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the US.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage